The long-awaited format change is finally here. Hey guys, it's Tom Box, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys the deck that is closest to Tier 0, K9 Vanquish Soul. We've been playtesting this at MST.TV for some time now with proxies for about 2 months, and if you guys want to get early access proxies, well, check out the Patreon link down in the description. You guys have seen how strong Vanquish Soul have become with the addition of Holly Sue, and now with K9s giving them perfect synergy on attribute and levels, giving them rank 5 toolbox, the ability to play even more on the opponent's turn. This deck is going to highlight how big of a gap there is between the meta decks and the non-meta decks. And since Konami also told us that, hey, the ban list isn't coming out until afterwards, this current build is adapted for whatever that's tier 2 and above for this wild format that's coming up. Now I want to get into the deck list and more tips and tricks of how to play the deck, but first a quick announcement. Now, it's been 3 years since I publicly announced that I dropped a mat, and I am back now, and with my return, I'm dropping my Champions Aura mat. So here, take a closer look. This is the energy flares in my timeless design. This mat is really nice, and I'm super impressed of how it turned out. Sometimes you just can't tell how things are going to go from a screen to a physical print, and this turned out amazing. So this is going to be my go-to mat for the foreseeable future. Many of you guys already have some of my OG mats, and this is going to be a limited drop available today. Link in the description below. Once it's sold out, never print it again. So get it while you can, and there's a giveaway on X. So if you follow me on X, you have a chance to get a signed version and MST merch care package shipped directly from us. You know, enough of a plug. Let's jump into the deck. Alright, we're going to showcase on the blue side of the mat here. We have, starting off, we have K9, number 17, Izzuna. This is a hand trap that is both defensive and oppressive. It can disrupt your opponent. So how does this card work and why does it synergize so well? Number one, it's an earth attribute and also level 5, so we can go into the rank 5 toolbox. And this is the one card rank 5 toolbox hand trap. Insanely powerful, just requires the opponent to activate a monster effect from the hand or graveyard, and she can summon herself out, and on summon she foolishes down into the graveyard another K9 monster, and whatever that you're going to throw, it's likely going to be Lupus. Lupus can summon itself out and leading into the entire rank 5 toolbox access simply with this card alone. So that's why this is extremely powerful on its own, and if it gets into the extract when you have Ripper, Nash Knight, and also Valen, then you can either book a moon your opponent's monster. You can do so much. We can get into those monsters in a sec, but yeah, that's why you have to play this. It's just essential. The earth attribute, level 5, everything lines up perfectly. Okay, so the partner in crime, we have K900 Lupus. This is your quick Xyz summon play. So usually you go for the K917 Izzuna effect, dump Lupus. Lupus has the same summoning condition in the hand and graveyard as Izzuna, so it can summon itself out of the graveyard. Quick effect, summon itself out of the graveyard, and then you activate the effect, quick effect, to create the overlay. You know, because everything's a quick effect, it's so easy to dodge things at target, which makes targeting based effects not so effective in the upcoming format dealing with K9s. And whatever that Lupus is attached to, that Xyz monster cannot be targeted. That's the additional bonus benefit that this offers. Now, looking into the other part of the K9 package, we have one Lantern, so 66B, and 366A. So they do a lot of things. There's a lot of text on these cards, so to break it down, you can watch my video about everything about Justice Hunters, summarized in 15 minutes. But, you know, to kind of give you the quick rundown, triple Joe Call. Joe Call is the one that tethers the additional one in the hand, so any other level 5 you have in your hand, you can just special summon them onto the field with Joe Call. It's an activated effect. There's like Lyra Lust that have a similar effect, and Lantern is the one that targets the card in the graveyard, special summons itself out onto the field and that monster that you targeted. And yeah, if you use the effect of Joe Call or Lantern, you cannot use any of the monster summon from their effect for light Xyz material. So just no Paradise Smasher. That's something that you have to keep in mind just in case someone cheats out a Paradise Smasher. They also have additional effects that people tend to forget. So Joe Call is the one that you play 3 of, because aside from summoning something from your hand, so it's itself and any other level 5. Lantern has to be a level 5 K9 in the graveyard. As for the on-field effect of Joe Call, activate. It's ignition effect to activate to add a K9 monster into your hand, whereas Lantern has the activate effect of adding a K9 spell or trap into your hand. So just remember to activate all their effects, because if you move forward and overlay them away before you get a chance to use their effect, you'll miss out on key advantage plays that you're going to have with these monsters. And one additional bonus fact is that the ones that look like police, if your opponent controls two or more monsters, or two or more cards in their hand, you can normal summon them without tributing from your hand, and therefore you can enable play, so they're not bricks. The only one that can't do it is Double Lupus. Double Lupus can special summon itself out of the hand as long as your opponent activated a monster effect from hand or graveyard. So that summarizes the entirety of the K9 package. And if you look at the attributes, these are earth and these are dark. So just keep in mind that this is still a Vanquish Soul profile, so these are still going to matter a lot. And moving on to the next piece, we have Triple Raisin, the best normal summon of the deck, and the card that you want to align into usually columns 2 and 4 to deal with extra deck or link based plays. Just be very careful how you position. And then there's Triple Mad Love. So this is also the bounce effect. Remember, it bounces non-targeted, so just be careful. Sometimes you might end up bouncing your own stuff of the monster with the lowest defense. Triple Holly Sue. These are all starters. Of course, this searches for the Vanquish Soul start. This searches for any of your missing names. And Holly Sue is one of the best names because it tethers out additional monsters and has a non-targeting steal and can be summoned during the opponent's turn and really just ruin their entire opening play. And then we have Triple Jiaolong. This is also a level 5, so Jiaolong and Holly Sue are going to be the two monsters that you're going to summon out with Joe Call. So Joe Call's effect to summon another level 5 in itself can apply to all level 5 monsters. So sometimes if you just don't have anything for Jiaolong to summon out, then you can just bring out two monsters, get your additional search, and play the entire K9 line instead. And that's like one of your options. And then we have Heavy Borger, which is your draw 1, also your burn your opponent, and if you just deal enough damage, you can just burn them for game at the end. And then once these are values, your non-targeting popping effect, which is very, very crucial. Aligning your chain links are going to be basically going to be the most important thing when you have a mirror match in this deck. And then into hand traps, Triple Ash Blossom, because it's fire and it's like one of the most important hand traps. We have Triple Fuelos. I'm not sure how effective this is in a mirror match, but since there's so many decks available right now that uses the extra deck, you just kind of have to play this. And replenishing your hand with different attributes is always going to be a good thing. And now for Graveyard Disruption. Since we don't have Max C, we're replacing 2 of the Earth. I'm choosing to go with 2 Ghost Spells, and I'm also choosing to play 1 DD Crow. You can also swap that for a Dimension Shifter instead, because there's a lot of decks that rely on the graveyard, and shutting those decks out of the graveyard will prove to be very, very beneficial. And just DD Crow is just universally just good, and there are occasions where your opponent doesn't have any cards on the field, and so you want to Crow the stuff. You can't do it with a Bastille. That's why I'm choosing to play Crow. Also has the Dark attribute, and these are 2 Earths. And the Earth also matter for like Draco Tail, because they're trap cards. They have to kind of put a card back in, or they can't put a card back in, so you can always negate it. So just additional negation. Also deals with the GWC. It's pretty nice and prevents the banishing, and maybe shuts down like the follow-up plays coming from Malice, since those are all available decks right now. So those are the hand traps I'm choosing to play. Into the spell lineup, you have Stake Your Soul. This is your way to, well, kind of e-telly out a free Vanquish Soul monster. I think it's a really good card. Just remember that if you don't use that monster, it does bounce back into the hand. Some people forget and just leave the name on board and illegally get a free copy of actually they're gonna get, I guess, yeah, no, there's nothing really illegal about that. And then we play 1 Rhoda for the Raisin. We get 1 copy of Case for the K9. This is the search spell for K9. You get to add a K9 monster from your deck to your hand with this card. But just keep in mind that I sometimes blow up this card if I don't get the opponent to activate a card, and so that my Ripper doesn't actually get the search of the quick play spell. If I do search this out, I usually tend to pivot into going to C104 to pop this, just so that I am able to get myself a search of the K9 X-Force release. X-Force release is really powerful, but remember, it is a main phase effect, so that this is like your rank up magic, and you can target one of your K9 Xyz monster you control, special summon from your extra deck just a K9 Xyz monster with a different name using that monster. But this has a non-targeting destruction effect, which turns it into a disruption, as well as putting up Werewolf, which turns it into another disruption. So that's why you're getting more and more value out of these cards, and that's why you play these. And this is searchable with either Ripper, or you can use Lantern to dig it out, or you can just get lucky with your opponent activating cards. Therefore, you can search for both the Case of the K9 and this together in one play. And if this blows up, like Case of the K9, this will reset from the graveyard as well, so it's not that bad. And then we have one Vanquish Soul start, and I'm choosing to play one copy of Triple Tactics Talent in the main. I think this is mainable. Even Triple Tactics Thrust is mainable in my opinion, because there's just so much activation that you don't know whose turn it is. It's like tier limits format all over again, where these cards can really benefit, because if you use a steal effect that's non-targeting, it's going to put your opponent in a weird position where they have to either preemptively activate something and then give you a choice. But yeah, that's why it's really good. And finally, one trap card of Vanquish Soul Snow Devil, so that you can do the burn effect summon, protect your monsters, or nuke the board. This is going to be another way to disrupt the opponent. But overall, this is what the main deck looks like. Now for the K9 extra deck, luckily this is super affordable. All of them are just basically super rares. We have 2 Rippers and 1 Werewolf. Ripper is going to be your go-to monster for the most part, especially when you go first, because it protects you by not letting your opponent use hand traps on you. Well, if they are attempting to use one, they have to use something like Imperm, a trap-based one, or Dominus, something that is not a monster, because Ripper can negate monster effects from hand or graveyard, which is, well, insanely powerful for one. But if you also have, say, a Lupus attached to it, always detach the thing that's not Lupus first, especially when you want to protect yourself from negation like Imperm, so that they can't Imperm nib you. They can nib you, but they can't drop the Imperm on it, so that they cannot stop you from negating the nib. That's why it's important. If you detach the wrong card, you might get punished for it. And that's what we play too. This is also detached to search for a K9 card, so it's very, very strong. Then there is the K9X Werewolf. This is the one that you rank up magic into with the release cards. And this is really powerful. Attacks multiple times. Aside from attacking multiple times and having 33, this card has an effect that changes depending on whose turn it is. It's a response-based effect where if your opponent activates a card effect, you detach 1 material. And when you detach 1, if it's during your turn, well, you can banish a card in their graveyard and on the field. Okay, that's a permanent banish. And if it's during the opponent's turn and they're activating something, say you just activated your quick play spell, turned your Ripper into a werewolf, well, you can wait for them to activate something, and maybe they're activating like a combo piece in their hand. You can chain the werewolf, like you can just get rid of it. You can just take it out of their hand. Or they're activating, let's say, like a ritual spell. They're like, oh, I want to summon from hand. Well, then you can activate werewolf, detach, look at it. Oh, they're trying to summon the Mitsurugi Murakumo. Oh, I'll just take that out so that they can't summon from hand. So that's why this card is pretty nasty, because you get to look at their hand too. So I think the turn after becomes a lot easier. Now, as for the rest of the toolbox, we have number 67 Paradise Smasher, and we have Valen, the Super Sky Blaster, and there's Nash Knight. And then the rest of it's going to be Nash Knight package. Paradise Smasher, this is likely going to get banned in my opinion. It is very unfair. It punishes the opponent super hard when they activate any level of hand trap. It is ridiculous. As long as you have Holly Sue and just one of your K9 names available, your opponent is basically going to be locked out from activating monster effects entirely. Of course, there is like a 90-something% chance of success. There is also the chance of failure, where it requires you to roll very high. So the only bad chance is that your opponent rolls like 2 1s, and therefore your maximum number that you can push your opponent to is like 8, because Paradise Smasher, it needs 3 materials to have its full effect, where you detach you and you both roll like 2 dice. And I wonder if I can demo this here. Okay, I brought Paradise here, and I'm gonna give you the results like this. So say I rolled a 6 and a 1 and my opponent rolled a 1 and a 1. They still lose in this particular die roll as long as Paradise Smasher has material, because one of these results can be changed into a 7, and we change it to a 7, we change the entire die into a 7. So now this one now becomes the 7 on its own, giving the opponent 8. Why is that, you say? It's because you roll the die twice. You're not rolling a pair of dice at the same time, you're rolling a die once and then twice, and therefore each of these are independent results that get added up together. So that's why it's pretty hard for you to actually lose this particular die roll, especially when you have a material. And once you resolve the effect, well, guess what? The opponent can activate monster effects until the end of their turn. So yeah, it's a full-on double turn skip, which is why likely this card's going to go away. Valen is your Book of Moon, but if it's sent to the graveyard, take a face-down monster and destroy it, or face-down card and destroy it. And Nash Knight is your non-targeting removal, which is absurdly powerful because it doesn't target for 1. It does detach too, so likely if if you do have like a Lupus attached to it, it's gonna get detached with it. But it's also the reason why you're able to climb up into your other monsters, such as you can play your Chaos Nash Knight, and you have things that you want to attach out of the deck, which is your regular Masquerade and then your Umbral Horror Masquerade, because when you do the detaching effect with Nash, you have to attach something from your extra deck, and that's going to be your C104. And then later on, you can overlay into the Chaos Nash Knight, and then you can use the effect and make Umbral Horror by detaching the regular Nash Knight. And what are the effects of all of these guys? Well, you can ignore Masquerade because you're never going to really use it. Umbral Horror is the one that halves your opponent's life points and rips their hand if they activate a monster effect on the field. It is very, very nasty, and it is very powerful. On the summon, it also acts as a spell trap removal, so giving you access to spell trap removal just from having the Nash Knight line. And since this card will have 2 materials every time it uses its effect, as long as your opponent went first and they put a card on the field that you can attach to it as a material, you can detach 2 again and take another material, and that's why this card is impeccably powerful. Yeah, there's that. So one additional monster that I am choosing to play in my build, because why not, it's going to be number C107. I don't like dealing with Liger Dancer, but it's very hard to summon this out. It's not like a free summon by any means, because this card still can be destroyed by card effects. So likely you're going to have to force your opponent into some sort of negation first before you can drop this monster and swing over a Liger Dancer. But it's like also nice because this card also provides you with an OTK option. By detaching material, everything on the board is negated and nothing can activate for the rest of the turn. So it's pretty nasty, and it's also 4.5k. Now for the rest of the package and Xyz is just, you know, the rivals themselves. You have Zeus and you have Typhon. You're kind of duking it out. Typhon's pretty easy to make with this deck, for sure. And then we have 2 Rocket the Vanquisher and 1 SP Little Knight. I mean, there are things I might tweak a little bit, but for now, this is enough for me. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys 3 play demos, rather than saying like full combo lines, because everything is so hand dependent that might as well just kind of cover it while just playing it. So in this case, I have Heavy Borger and Raisin. Normal summon out the Raisin because it's the only play you have. Activate the effect to search. Go straight up for the Holly Sue right now, because we want to maintain the attribute and we don't want to burn Mad Love incorrectly, and so we can link it down into the Rock with the Vanquisher. Using Rock's effect, you can add back the Raisin back to hand, and using Holly Sue, we can reveal that Raisin we added and special summon out the Holly Sue. So we have the Dark and the Fire, so we activate Holly Sue's effect, revealing the Dark and the Fire. And this allows us to summon from the deck, and we're going to summon out our Dr. Madlove. Madlove will activate, getting us the field spell. Activate the field spell, target either of these, it doesn't really matter, and get ourselves the Jiaolong Fire. We're using this as a way to kind of bridge into the rank 5s. So we're going to activate Heavy Borger effect to bounce back the Madlove. And we summon back the Borger effect to reveal the Mad Love. Okay, and with the reveal of Mad Love, we get to draw a card. And depending on what you draw, it can really change up the game. We're just gonna draw a Molcharmy as the extra card for now. And okay, so we reveal the card. Jiaolong now activates, summon from hand, and from here we can overlay the 2, and we special summon out into our Ripper. Depending on what you have, right now we're all assuming that our opponent did not activate anything to disrupt us, but you know, usually that's not going to be the case. But in the case that they did, this play gets weaker if they don't do anything and you don't have a way to self-pop. And by self-popping, say for instance we already had an Earth like Caesar Valius, so I'm going to change up, just adding this into the mix just so that we can understand the difference. So we're going to activate the Ripper, we're going to detach the Holly Sue, and this is going to give us an add. In the case you don't have a popping effect, then it would probably be better to just directly search for the spell card of K9 X-Force Release, because this acts as a removal and converts it into a second disruption, and you have your other disruption for negating hand monster effects with Ripper. So this itself can act as 3 disruption on its own. But if you have the case where you do have a self-pop, so you do have a Caesar Valius, or you have additional 5s you can play into, such as, you know, your Joel Calls for instance, then you can switch into going for Case of the K9 instead. The difference is this. So say for instance we do have you know, case of the K9. We have the Caesar Valius. We can bounce back the Heavy Borger and whatnot. We activate case of the K9. Use that to add the Izzuna into hand, giving us the Earth attribute. And because we can't activate this nor normal summon this, next we're going to activate Caesar Valius to bounce back the Heavy Borger and summon out the Caesar Valius. Using Caesar Valius' effect to pop the case of the K9, this gets destroyed, and now we get the K9 X-Force release. Because we have the X-Force release now, it changes up how many disruptions we have, because now in addition to having the ability for the triple disruption play here, we gained ourselves an extra copy of Izzuna, which allows us for a rank 5 play in addition. So that would be like 4 disruptions here. Not to mention that we haven't even touched base on the Rocket the Vanquisher getting back the Holly Sue, or using Rocket the Vanquisher to special summon Raisin onto the field and using Raisin to fetch a Holly Sue. And from there, just trying to push forward. And you can use Heavy Borger to get the Caesar Valius back, so you have control of all the attributes you want. We're looking at 5 disruptions at least pushing forward. Not to mention that we haven't even touched the other cards in hand. So there's a lot going for just simple plays like this. But it's about how you interact with your opponent, because timing is going to be key in the upcoming format. And if you don't match your timing against your opponent, or you pass priority ineffectively, you're going to be you're going to fall behind, and it's always going to seem like you're always one effect behind your opponent, and they're disrupting you where it hurts you most. So it's going to be pretty common that someone's going to throw a Molchami Fualos against you, especially if you start your play with a Holly Sue. Say, for instance, I go with a Holly Sue, I reveal to my opponent of a Jiaolong, okay, and this summons out onto the field. I activate my effect, revealing, you know, Jiaolong in the dark, they chain Fua, okay, Fua's now active. And so I have to summon and give them cards. This is where you get really, really punished, especially when you're not prepared for it. So you summon out the Raisin, they draw a card. Okay, they drew their card, they had their fun. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to activate Izzuna, or rather, even in that same chain, we could have gotten the Izzuna. And don't forget the Raisin search for any kind of follow-up, including another copy of Holly Sue, just so that we don't have to give them too many cards. Special summon the Izzuna to her own effect. The effect of Izzuna, we're going to send to the graveyard the Lupus into the graveyard, right? Lupus summon itself in the graveyard. None of these things have any kind of restriction right now, so we're just going to overlay all 3 of these into Paradise Smasher. So now they're drawing their second card, and it can't be an imperm because it doesn't work on this card right now. Paradise Smasher is on the board. Activate Paradise Smasher effect. Detach everything but the Lupus, so they still can't target it. Play your die roll game, and then likely you're gonna win, and then they don't have any monster effects. So even if they drew into additional cards, they're still passing more or less on a blank board, and you have Holly Sue to kind of have a little fun against your opponent, right? That's what we like. We like just duking out against our opponent, and because we did do the search earlier, that means when you play on your opponent's turn, you're building a board during their turn when they can't even fight back, and that's what we want to do with Paradise Smasher. So Izzuna makes it so punishing if they just want to throw Molcharmies at you, and that's something that I would do to my opponent. Alright, so losing die roll sometimes isn't going to feel too bad because you can play on the opponent's turn, and for this play demo we're going to showcase a broken hand like this. This is like turn 0, you might as well just win the entire duel, because what are they going to do when you disrupt them 4 or 5 times in one turn? And this is like maximum hand trap. So if you start with, say, like a Molcharmi Fua, you drop the Fua, and then they were like, oh, well, I'm going to throw an Ash on it, so now that enables the Izzuna. Like, whatever that they're trying to combo with, it's going to be met with the Izzuna, and we're looking through that in a second. But first, if you want to do monster-based disruption, go for Holly Sue, revealing the Mad Love, reveal the Dark Fire, or if you think taking control will just end the entire turn, go for the Dark Earth, and just take control and end it there. But in any case, now you can do something even further by using the Holly Sue. Say we're going for the Fire Line. This one sets up for the next turn as well. Using the Dark Fire effect, we're going to summon out Raisin into the same column as the monster that they summoned into. Raisin's effect, that's going to help us add Caesar Valius into hand. This is very, very useful because it has another pop effect, and you can use Raisin's effect to pop it, you know, before it gets to an open game state. Remember, you have to be proactive about this. Don't let them take any action. So at the end of the previous chain, I'm going to use my quick effects. And so you basically have to take assertion that you're not gonna let the chain go into an open game state. On the resolution, I'm gonna activate Raisin, for instance, right? So there's that. So now this gets popped. Okay, say they continue to play and you don't want them to extend any further. Caesar Valius, bounce back the Holly Sue, summon out the Caesar Valius, and even if you didn't have Izzuna, you'd still have all 3 attributes right here to destroy a second monster. Alright, so that's 2 monsters down. But if they're continuing to play, then you can continue with your own Izzuna effect, throw Lupus into the grave, summon out Lupus, quick effect, and this is why it's insane, because it's so fast. And now you can see yourself going into a Nash Knight. Nash Knight's not bad. I think Nash Knight is the one that can keep on giving you more disruption, but if you think booking your opponent is enough, then you can go for Valen instead, or you can go for Ripper for for the follow-up play, especially if you think your opponent is going for graveyard-based effects. Then you can use Ripper to negate it and provide you with K9 cards on the turn following. Let's say that we go for Nash Knight. Nash Knight goes with the detach effect, and once we've detached our cards, that's going to let us attach. I prefer to go for the number 104, but you can go for any of your big number monsters, and this will attach, like, say, their card on top, right? So that's what is pushing forward. And that's 3 disruption. That's 3 monsters taken care of, and this one doesn't even target. And if they have anything further, now you can throw away your Ash Blossom and Joy Spring in case that wasn't enough. But now you're starting your turn with a Holly Sue, right? Already in hand, and a Raisin on board. Say this wasn't even Dr. Madlove. See, it could have been another dark, like maybe Heavy Borger, for instance. What can happen here is at the start of your turn, you can just use Nash Knight to take out any problematic monster. If you drew into a fire, Caesar can destroy another card on the field, but you can start your turn with just Raisin just linking down and just going into Rock of the Vanquisher. And you can also use like Nash Knight and just abuse it by just overlay into Chaos Nash Knight, detaching the Nash Knight, going into either Chaos 107 so that you can turn off all the effects and just push for game all on its own. There's a lot of different things you can start your turn off. Essentially, you're just FTKing your opponent. That's all I have for this video. This is just an initial look towards the deck of K9 Vanquish Soul. Honestly, experience is what's going to matter most when it comes to this, because you need to understand the timing, and the timing concept is not something that's easily demoed. It's more something that you have to take your hands on and actually play out to really get a good grasp, because there's a lot of times where you have to let the timing chain pass, and sometimes you have to aggressively take at the end of chain, activate the effect, or on the resolution of this, do something. This is what is going to come down to, especially in a format where there's just so much interaction. Now, I'm going to be continuing giving you guys another deck profile, more duels, so that we can get experience, and I'm going to try to commentate over those games. So make sure you guys hit that like button, hit subscribe, ding that notification bell. Don't forget to check out my collab with Imperium Duelist, which is dropped right now, limited release, and once it's done, it's done. There's no more. And check it out at Imperium Duelist there. Link in the description. And yeah, I really appreciate your support. And I know you guys love this stuff, and if you guys like it, I'll make more for you guys as well. And don't forget about the giveaway that's also on X. That's all for this one. I'll see you all in the next one.